For a person who has an urge to punch walls and things, thank you for all the suggestions. I'm really grateful for them all. I'll be sure to pass them on to my boyfriend. Thank you all so much for the suggestions. This really gained a lot of attention. I might just have to send him this thread. Thank you so much for the support. I really wasn't expecting it, and I'm really grateful. Story 1. An old man once told me to go and walk. It didn't matter what the destination was. Just walk, no thinking, just one foot in front of the other. I figured I was being given advice from a wise person, so I am going to go with it. Story 2. There's a place near me called a rage room where you pay money to go in and break items like TVs and radios. Edit. 50 people before you have already said this causes more aggression. Story 3. While not everyone has the means to do so, chopping wood is the best outlet I found. You get to exert force, destroy something, and create a useful resource all at the same time. I posted this before going to bed this morning, coming off of a 12-hour night shift. I had no idea so many people would relate. Over 7,000 upvotes? What a thing to wake up to. Men's mental health is a pretty important issue that doesn't seem to get much attention. I'm glad to see all of you taking care of yourselves. Story 4. Just straight out belly breathing, deep screaming. Really great for everything. Go in your basement or in your car away from anyone and just belt out a scream from your belly and keep screaming. Great for jaw pain and general tightness in your face too. Always makes me feel better. I usually do it in the car if I'm driving and no one's around. Story 5. Acknowledgement. To know in the moment that you are angry and to be able to discern why you are angry. Anger is a surface emotion. There is always something deeper going on. Find it, own it, address it, become more emotionally mature. Edit. Wow, my first platinum. Thank you, kind person. Story 6. Story time. I worked in a scrap metal shop for a few months, and that was the best stress relief ever. Our job was to take apart old windows, also known as sash, so we could save the aluminum from the frames. The glass was this old, dangerous, non-tempered single-pane garbage that we would throw in the dumpster. We would disassemble the sash and then just throw the windows into the dumpster across the shop onto the concrete floor and at other windows. We would line up the windows and throw our hammers at them to see how many windows we could get through. One time we had this enormous 8x4 pane of tempered glass that was going in the dumpster. It was totally empty in there, so we just stood the pane up on its end and let it crash down into a million little beads. Nothing breaks better than glass. Other good stress relievers: remodeling demolition, working out, writing a Word document and then deleting it. Story 7. Find a safe place, close and lock the door. Sit comfortably and breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Relax as much as you are capable. Now the hard work begins. Start finding out why you were angry to begin with. As a person with significant impulsive tendencies, I am finding that the reason is much more important. Over time and after a lot of very hard work, I am learning that the aggressive version of me had been accidentally promoted to driving my life. I have given him back his correct job and now, for the most part, have more control over my impulses. Somatic experiencing therapy was a huge asset in my personal journey. Drop me a direct message if you feel overwhelmed. I'd be glad to chat. Edit. I am a 2-time combat veteran, son of a Vietnam veteran with anger problems, from a family with a long history of violence. In my family, it was admired when someone took matters into their own hands and physically destroyed someone for a perceived slight. I thought that was normal until I was in my mid-30s. Things are different now after a lot of work by both myself and a number of other people who cared enough about me to make time for me. I offer that same help if you need someone to talk to. Story 8. For God's sake, Google anger catharsis theory to counteract the bad advice so much of this thread is giving you. And please do not help create an association between anger and sex. Edit. Kashif, Lawless Coffee, and the Geek have rightly noted that my comment didn't help the original poster or others find non-toxic outlets for anger. So, while I'm not a therapist, I have gotten help from some anger management material, so let me offer some random thoughts. It looks like the OP removed her positive comment to someone's advice that sex can alleviate anger, so that last comment above may sound like it came from out of left field. Just like you can't build up muscle by just thinking about it, you can't rewire your brain to manage anger just by physical exertion. You have to process that mentally. Since anger kind of takes over your rational mind, people starting out should do that processing when they've calmed down later and can think more logically about what triggered them. As you get used to it, try and do this when you become angry. The good news is that by processing your thoughts and feelings with logic, it steals fuel away from the anger. Know what triggers your anger. It's easy to lose control of anger like the leash of a Doberman bolting after a rabbit. But if you know your trigger, you'll have a better chance of bracing yourself and tightening your grip on that leash. Cognitive behavioral therapy tells us that the world is just a series of events, and it is our interpretation of those events, the meaning we ascribe to them, that creates our emotional response to them. We don't have the power to change the world to never make us angry, but we can develop mental habits to stop inflicting ourselves with the emotional burn of anger. Some anger is just the top coating we unknowingly paint over other negative emotions, like fear, frustration, humiliation, or powerlessness. Correctly diagnosing a sickness is the crucial first step to curing it. So make sure you've dug deep to get at what's really bothering you. One way to do this is to put it into words and then ask yourself, and why is that a problem? This may sound stupid because reasons may seem obvious, but it can really help to break things down. Anger is typically a morally rooted righteous emotion. Someone transgressed against me or something I care about. They should have acted differently. Should is at the root of a lot of anger. People fail to live in accordance with your own personal code that probably doesn't factor in other people's wants, needs, or motivations, and that others may not even be aware of. We ascribe deliberate malevolent motivations to people's actions where none may be. We may expect a chaotic world to order itself in our vicinity. We may hold people to an unrealistic standard. Exercise, make 2 columns. In one column, let loose with your unfiltered angry outburst. Then in the second column, break out your analytical, logical side and try to logically break down why things happened the way they did. Just like working out, don't expect overnight results. You have to practice and work on it and maintain it. It's literally just like working on your muscles, except it's your mind. A personal note, I have had an ongoing problem with anger, and I can't think of a single time it ever made a situation better. My anger always seemed to get away when I wasn't even aware of it happening. The thing that helped me gain control was reminding myself that I am an adult, not an infant. This mindset was how I was finally able to catch myself. Like an adult, I can think through my legitimate feelings of anger and communicate those with other adults in a mature way. I recently had an issue where I got upset at my girlfriend and I was able to say, I'm frustrated right now and haven't yet processed how or why I'm feeling the way I am. I'd like to talk it through with you once I'm calm. After about 15 minutes, we talked it out, listened to each other, and it ended with hugs and affection. I'm lucky that my girlfriend is pretty emotionally mature, patient, and considerate. Your results may vary. I've had some luck with cognitive behavioral therapy. Peachy Rosie and anyone else still reading, I hope this is more helpful. Story 9. It depends on why you're angry. Just because you're angry isn't a bad thing. You are allowed to be angry. You are allowed to feel your feelings. What I've found is to reach out to other people. Find someone neutral but sympathetic to tell the situation to, and tell them that it makes you feel angry. A counselor or therapist would be the best for this. But also be willing to let go of the anger. Story 10. Therapy. Wanting to punch walls isn't healthy, and expressing aggression has been shown to actually increase aggression even more. I found this to be anecdotally true as well. I used to hit a heavy bag when I felt upset, and the release feels emotionally nice but didn't help the negative feelings. Learning how to process that rage and head it off in the future worked much better. Story 11. Painting is nice. I used to paint for hours, and everything would disappear for me. I tend to overeat, but when I would paint, I wouldn't have that drive to consume like I normally do. Everything that would mess me up every day would fade away as I worked on a piece. It's honestly the most relaxing thing I have ever done in my life. Another thing I would do is walk up to the forest in my town and sit somewhere for an hour or so to just breathe in the air and listen to the noises of nature. It's also one of the few things that would calm me down after a bad argument or something equally frustrating. Better than punching holes in walls. Story 12. Drumming, piano, or any kind of music. If you can write about your problems and express them through music, it really can balance your psyche. Also, drumming is just hitting stuff, so that works too. Story 13. Hey, so a lot of people are telling you to do something to let it out, which seems like the right thing, but it is not. Your brain is wired to respond when angry. Often the threat is not as bad as perceived. So, doing something physical means your brain will think you have to do that every time, but that is not possible. Think about being mad at work, for example. The best advice I can give is to rewire your brain. The only way you can do that is to teach yourself and your brain another way to respond when angry. Keep in mind this is a process. It takes time, but follow it and it will work. Start with writing down what triggers you to be so angry that you hit a wall or something along those lines. Then go back and rank them. When I did this, I saw rather blatantly my triggers revolved heavily around disrespect or what I perceived as disrespect. Now you know what triggers you. When you see that you are mad, start thinking about which trigger was set off. If you can, go mark it down. This is essentially a way to walk away from what is causing you to be angry. There is nothing wrong with walking away. It is better to just walk away mad than have to apologize because you broke stuff when raging angry. Then lastly, find about 5 minutes, 3 times a day to meditate. Some people, myself included, think it is stupid or hippie stuff, but it is not, and it works. The best way to start is to think of the beach. You are sitting on the beach watching the waves come in and go out. When they come in, you breathe in. When they go out, you breathe out. Now your mind will want to go to other places, work, money, past events, whatever. Where the mental health improvement starts is in forcibly making your mind stay at the beach when it is trying to wander. It will be hard at first, but it will get easier, like lifting weights. Then you can do longer sessions. Direct message me if you need more help. You are not alone. Story 14. Have a good imagination? Play Dwarf Fortress Adventure Mode and go on a rampage as a heavily armored elephant man. Goblin in your way? Grab him by the arm and bite his head off. Gore that troll in the neck with a tusk. Cave an armored human's skull in with a hammer. Story 15. Painting, traditional carpentry, mountain biking, swimming, natural bodybuilding, yoga, I know, but it is calming and good for your joints. Baking. Find a main hobby and a second smaller hobby like model building or something for times you can't do the other. Story 16. Weightlifting and general exercise are the best things I've ever found to control my anger and anxiety. For me, benching, squatting, and deadlifting are like meditation. If you think about anything else but your movement and form, then you're going to have a bad time. You learn how to clear thoughts from your mind because you really don't want to mess up with 100, 200, or 300 pounds above your face or sitting on your shoulders. Plus, the exertion will deplete that anger. I'm never as calm as I am in the hour or two following my workouts. Story 17. Physical outlets may work in the short term, but in the longer term, you need to learn to address it internally. What if the time comes when you have no safe physical outlet? This probably comes with age, but I always ask myself, how does this really impact me and my goals? The answer is usually, it doesn't. So I don't waste mental energy on it. That doesn't mean I don't need some time away from the situation, but even walking my dogs will be enough for me to process this and move on. Rule number 1, don't sweat the small stuff. Rule number 2, it's all small stuff. Story 18. I know this sounds corny, but I've been going to a men's therapy group, anger management group, for over a year, and it's improved my life and my relationship immensely. Something about hearing other men's issues and relating it to my own has been way more effective than individual therapy or any venting techniques. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Story 19. Target shooting is actually very good for stress relief. Plus, the concentration and care required help push whatever nonsense is bothering me aside. Story 20. What's worked for me, other than going to the gym, running, and channeling that energy into my hobbies, is writing. Just write your anger out into a journal. It's therapeutic, and you can reread it afterward to realize whether it was worth it to let that thing bother you so much or if it wasn't worth the time. Story 21. I keep a little journal with me wherever I go. Whenever something makes me upset, I pull it out and write down reasons why I shouldn't be as mad about it as I am at the moment, or tell myself it's okay to be upset as it's a human emotion. It doesn't work all of the time, but when it works, it works. Story 22. I read a study that showed that people who take out their anger through violent activities such as martial arts, wood chopping, break rooms, and so on make themselves more angry and strengthen the relationship between the angry emotion and the violent urge. Story 23. Not a dude. Just wanted to chime in that if you find your anger is hurting your relationship, you might need to see a counselor. Anger issues can stem from past trauma that is unresolved. Men have a higher percentage of avoiding mental health resources, and some theorize that this can contribute to several things, such as the higher percentage of suicides in men. As someone who takes medication for mental health, you can feel the difference, and sometimes the medication is a great boost to get you to a healthy place.